Greetings to you all. Evangelical Fellowship of Zimbabwe have condemned acts of violence while calling for dialogue to end the political and economic dilemma in the country, reported below 24. We strongly argue our governing authorities to urgently convene a roundtable dialogue platform with all concerned players, actors, and citizen representative groups to discuss the root causes of the unrest and the way forward that is inclusive and sustainable in the immediate to medium term, read the statement. Every thinking Zimbabwean out there will heartily welcome all genuine attempts to find a solution to Zimbabwe's economic and political crisis. The emphasis is on genuine solution. The economic and political crisis has been long in coming, and the nation's unemployment rate did not soar to 90% overnight. It has been 70% plus for the last 20 years. Our healthcare service has all but collapsed, and that too did not happen the last year or two. The rot started in the 1990s with savage budget cuts in the health sector. We strongly reiterate that violent expression and or violent repression will not help the situation and anyone affected, including both the governing authorities and the citizens, continued the evangelical statement. True, the use of violence, be it on the part of the public or the authority, must be condemned. Still, it is useful to understand the genesis of the violent protests in Zimbabwe. Each time the people have tried to voice their concerns about the worsening economic situation, notably the students, the government has always swiftly moved in to violently disrupt the demonstration and silence all dissent. What some people have failed to understand is that using brute force to silence all dissent, peaceful or otherwise, was the only option for the Zanu PF government. That knew it would never address the citizens' concerns, and worst of all, was not democratically accountable to the people through the holding of free, fair, and credible elections. In Zimbabwe, the only demonstrations that are permitted are pro-Zanu PF and organized by the party. A few years ago, war veterans, we had been as faithful as dogs to the Zanu PF dictatorship all along, found themselves at the business end of the whip when they tried to organize a demonstration against the regime. They were tear gassed, washed with water cannon, and savagely beaten up by the riot police, just like everybody else. Violence begets violence. It is not surprising that most of those taking part in demonstrations in Zimbabwe know they will face violence from the authorities and are themselves prepared to fire back. In a determined effort to stay on top of the situation and beat all dissenters into submission, the Zanu PF government has escalated its brutal response to public demonstrations by issuing shoot-to-kill orders. The very fact that there are still people on the street risking arrest and being shot underlines how desperate these people are for meaningful change. The real tragedy here is Zanu PF is creating a pool of hardened citizens, just like Ian Smith's regime created the Zanu PF thugs. The danger is if these street protests hardened citizens should ever get into power, they too will be as intolerant and autocratic Zanu PF thugs they are replacing. We are seeing this tendency among some MDC leaders already, who deeply resent being held to account over their past performance. I've been in the trenches, they argue. The point exactly. What democratic change has MDC brought after 19 years on the political stage? President Mnangagwa rigged last year's elections. In keeping with the Zanu PF tradition of holding on to power at all costs, regardless of the people's democratic wishes. The party have no clue what to do to ease the country's worsening economic meltdown. The people, for their part, are desperate for a solution to ease their economic suffering. They are so desperate, they are going out in the street knowing they risk being beaten and even being shot dead. The only genuine attempt to find a way forward in Zimbabwe must be premised on talking truth to power. Zanu PF must be told in no uncertain terms that the party landed the nation in this mess because of 38 years of corrupt and tyrannical rule. And of immediate importance, that the regime has no clue what to do to get the nation out of the mess. And there's no mandate to stay in power. After 38 years of corrupt and tyrannical rule, Zanu PF must step down. It is not for Mnangagwa or anyone else in Zanu PF to decide what should happen next. The nation will decide that. The only genuine solution to Zimbabwe's economic and political crisis is to be blunt, honest, and speak truth to power. Zanu PF must go. After 38 years of appeasing the regime, with the disastrous consequences we can all see, appeasement is now a luxury the nation can ill afford. Thank you for listening.